You got this.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
It's 8 o'clock. Breakfast is being served at Ellen's downtown.
Hi, I'm Todd Boatwright. This is your Spectrum News in 90. It's been 1 year now since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Since then, 14 states have banned or severely restricted abortions, including here in Texas. People on both sides of the issue have planned demonstrations in Texas. The Texas Supreme Court has ruled ERCOT cannot be sued over power grid failures from the 2021 winter storm. According to the Texas Tribune, the court narrowly found that the nonprofit corporation operating the state's grid qualifies for sovereign immunity. This, in essence, protects government entities from lawsuits. And fireworks sales are underway in Texas. Officials remind people to be cautious when shooting off those fireworks and to be mindful of local laws. Fireworks sales continue through the July 4th holiday in Texas. Now let's get a check of your hyper-local forecast in Weather on the Ones.
Dallas-Fort Worth, talk about a heat wave. Highs in the triple digits and up, and even overnight your lows sitting just above 80 degrees. We're also working with a whole lot of sunshine and dry conditions. No rain expected for your Sunday, as well as Monday, Tuesday looking dry. Really want to practice that heat safety. More on your forecast coming up.
Hello, thank you for joining us here on Spectrum News 1. I'm Todd Boatwright. We have been feeling the heat this week, and it doesn't look to be letting up anytime soon. With the extreme heat come questions over the state's power grid. ERCOT says we could finally break the record for energy demand in the coming days. They predict demand will surpass 84,000 megawatts of power generation Monday and Tuesday. Now, despite this, officials are projecting we will have enough supply to meet that demand. Well, these hot temps can be dangerous. Our John Salazar got expert advice from a group of firefighters about what you can do to stay safe.
Now that the dog days of summer are here,
pace yourselves.
Daily safety briefings.
Fill up your coolers, you got your water.
For first responders across the state.
Know that it's a marathon and not a sprint.
Probably start off like this.
We'll try to schedule the day to account for, the weather.
This is Battalion Chief Cody Baker. He's here to remind these highly trained firefighters and EMTs accustomed to the rigors of the job. 100-degree weather does not discriminate.
Obviously, if we have an emergency, we got to go.
Which was the case with City of FAR firefighters on the previous shift.
Incident we had yesterday afternoon at the peak heat of the day. Everyone is pretty cognizant. Everyone was being professional, watching themselves and their partners. And even still, we had a couple people that needed some extra attention.
Extra attention given to a couple of firefighters overcome and overheated by the 115-degree heat index, battling a two-house fire.
Both pretty well involved, and it was 2:30 in the afternoon and just brutal hot.
Baker lays out how the crew reacted and what the public should do if they find themselves in heat-related trouble.
Getting into a cool spot, getting the gear off, getting some hydration, that's part of our standard procedure and in fact is, mandated.
Lieutenant Jesus Rocio knows what it's like when excessive heat takes over the body.
It's tough. We're out there as first responders to help people, and when you get that feeling, it feels like, wait a minute, I can't help nobody if I'm in danger myself.
The message of the story is simple. If life-saving skilled professionals can't succumb to the hot Texas heat, everyone is at risk. What do you tell the people when maybe they're not taking care of themselves?
You have to listen to your body. A lot of the times we go out there and these people say that they've been feeling like this and they know it's hot outside and they're still, just trying to get this job done or whatever they're doing. And sometimes you just have to listen to your body because your body's the one that's telling you, hey, it's too hot in here, I've had enough.
Last year, 279 people in Texas died because of hot weather, the highest body count in more than 2 decades, according to state health officials.
You have to pace yourself. You have to know that it's going to be hot, know that it's going to be taxing on your body, that the heat is a factor I have to deal with.
And another reminder, never leave your child or a pet in a vehicle without the AC running. Cook Children's Hospital in North Texas teamed up with the Prosper Fire Department to simulate what happens when a child is left in a hot car. During triple-digit heat, the inside of a car can reach a high of 172 degrees. According to noheatstroke.org, at least 8 children in the U.S. have died so far this year after being left in a hot car.
We're definitely about see something, say something. If you see something does not look right to you, you see a child in a car, even if you don't know whether the air conditioning's running or not, that's a 911 call immediately to get the police department and the fire department started your way to get that child out of there.
This extreme heat has led to a rise in heat-related emergency calls across the state. Emily Pounds takes us on a ride-along with paramedics in North Texas.
These are just some of the things that paramedics are having to carry with them as the temperatures get hotter. Water and ice packs, making sure folks stay cooler in the heat.
It's not going to be too unusual moving forward to see 100-degree days.
With temperatures soaring early this summer, the weather is presenting unique challenges for paramedics. John Hamilton is an experienced paramedic in Fort Worth with over a decade of service. He emphasizes the importance of staying prepared for heat-related calls.
We have ice packs and cooling in the back.
As we accompanied Hamilton on his daily routine, it became evident that heat-related emergencies have increased in Texas.
We've started to get the heat-related calls. We've had a few of them already this year.
Just since May, MedStar has transferred nearly 30 heat-related patients to area hospitals in Tarrant County alone.
Once the heat index gets to 105, we upgrade our call response to anybody that's out in the elements.
During the ride-along, we witnessed the MedStar team firsthand responding to calls.
801.
Wasting no time assessing the patient's conditions.
Are you okay?
And initiating treatment if needed.
You can tell right now, just with the heat from the vehicles passing by and being on the highway, it's a whole lot hotter out here right now than it is just being in an office building or on the regular street.
As the summer heat continues to intensify, paramedics like Hamilton stand ready to face heat challenges head on and urge folks to be prepared.
Really, when it gets up into the hundreds like it does and that heat index is high, you've really got to watch out for how long you're out in the elements.
And still ahead, Texas lawmakers have raised the pay for caregivers, but officials say it's still not enough. We'll show you why coming up here on Spectrum News 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Carla Leal. On the next In Focus Texas, we're taking a look at some of the biggest headlines from Texas's 88th legislative session. From mental health to the fentanyl crisis and our state's budget, we'll take a look at some of the key issues that materialize during the regular session. You don't want to miss it, so join us Sunday or set your DVR for all the details. I'll see you then.
Today at Zilker Park, where folks from across the state of Texas are coming together for this historic.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to our communities around the clock, delivering stories that inspire and news that matters in your community. Our journalists are dedicated to bringing you trusted, balanced, local news every day. And now, Spectrum Internet-only customers, you can watch Spectrum News 1 on your TV, connecting you to your community 24/7. Spectrum News, now streaming, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Texas holds a very special place in both my heart and my family's heart as well. My dad started in the news business in 1955, so my dad was my idol. He was my mentor. I spent so much time in that world. I knew I just had to be a part of it. My life's purpose has been about informing, educating, and most importantly, connecting with people. It has been my passion to help people and make a difference in people's lives. I'm Brett Shipp, anchor, Spectrum News 1.
Weather on the Ones, presented by Lentz Landscape Lighting.
Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us here on Spectrum News 1. This video here from the Fort Worth Zoo, and that baby elephant probably has the right idea. With all the heat that we're having, you're going to want to cool off, stay hydrated, and of course, just in general, practice that heat safety. We have a very hot 7-day forecast in the works, and even our Saturday was pretty warm. We started off with some clouds, but quickly saw blue skies and sunshine as early as about lunchtime, and I want to show you our lows from Saturday morning. The coolest that we got for the Metroplex was upper 70s, so we didn't really have much of a cool down. And of course, as we head into the extended forecast, heat will persist and it is going to be oppressive. Take a look at your Sunday forecast, rather. Triple digits, 100 degrees. That's my forecast for Dallas as well as Fort Worth. Grapevine, maybe about 102. But across the board, again, you are seeing triple digits and it's going to feel even hotter. Take a look at your feels like temperatures, 110 degrees. That is how hot it's going to feel in Dallas and Fort Worth on your Sunday afternoon. So once again, staying hydrated, that will be key. Take breaks in the shade and just really driving home that heat safety, especially because it's not getting any better, especially through about midweek of this next work week. We are going to be at about 105 degrees by Wednesday and Thursday, maybe getting some relief that first day of July, but still it is going to be very hot, and rain chances, they're going to be minimal. We do have a slight chance of maybe a stray shower, an isolated storm, but overall the trend over the next 7 days is dry and hot, very hot. That is the main idea of your forecast. Triple digits all the way from Sunday through your Friday, back into the 90s Saturday.
All eyes have been on the state power grid during this heat wave, and renewable energy has been a key factor in keeping the lights on. Amber Hughes explains why wind and solar power are crucial.
The great thing about solar is the sun is shining typically when our overall statewide electricity needs are the greatest.
This is a busy time for energy providers.
This is a 72-cell solar panel.
Robert Miggins is the co-founder and CEO of Big Sun Solar in San Antonio. He says they want to get as many businesses as possible to convert to solar energy.
This one is made by Mission Solar, so supporting local jobs.
He's very optimistic about the opportunities renewable energy has created. In just a few short years, the solar energy industry has grown in Texas. Robert says incentive programs from the local energy company has allowed solar to soar.
The heat is only getting worse. Our population is growing a great deal in Texas, so our energy needs are really expanding greatly.
The U.S. Energy Information Administration says less than 5% of Texas energy is generated from solar panels. Robert says for a state that gets a lot of sun, solar is a common sense investment for Texas.
Becoming a really important part of our overall energy mix between all the other ways that electricity is created statewide.
It takes years to get gas-powered plants approved and built, but Robert says solar projects are becoming easier and faster to complete.
More and more affordable, it can be deployed quickly, and it produces electricity when we need it the most, which is in the hottest part of the day.
Even though natural gas makes up more than half the state's power generation, this year Texas is expected to lead the nation in solar growth.
Listen, we're in for a long, hot summer. Solar is a really important part of how we're meeting our overall statewide ERCOT grid energy requirements.
Meanwhile, Texans without a home are some of the most vulnerable during this triple-digit heat. Luby Zapata spoke with 2 Dallas teens who say they'd be living on the streets if it weren't for a new youth shelter.
No smoke, no smoke.
You don't
want it. Bro, I swear, I do, bro. No smoke, no smoke. We ain't about that.
Music has been a source of stress relief for 18-year-old Isaiah, who's found himself in a difficult situation recently. He was supposed to graduate from high school in Irving this year, but wasn't able to.
I kicked out like a week before the stage walk, and I couldn't walk it with them because I couldn't finish school. I was out in the streets by that time.
Isaiah is sharing this 2-bedroom, 2-bath hotel suite with 18-year-old Juan, who also found himself living on the streets. He documented the time he slept at a public park earlier this year.
I was like, it's so cold. That's when I was sleeping at a park, and I only had shorts and a hoodie on.
Both Isaiah and Juan say they were kicked out by family members, becoming the 1 in 10 Americans ages 18 to 25 who experience homelessness each year. That's according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
There was just parks to like rooftops to just alleyways, but there was one time I did go into an abandoned building, but I got in trouble, so I didn't go to another abandoned building.
I was on the roof for maybe 4 days on a strip of a building.
They've now found a home through Elevate North Texas, a nonprofit shelter program helping people ages 18 to 24 with short-term hotel rooms, counseling, and case managers. Founder Jason Vallejo says his team has been unusually busy since the school year ended.
It's crazy. It's like doubled. It's more than double than this time last year.
In 2022, Elevate North Texas helped more than 130 young adults. In May of this year, they had 35 intake forms completed, and in the first 2 weeks of June, they've had 18.
When we hear the word homeless, we automatically think of the older chronically homeless that are begging on the side of the street or panhandling or have severe mental health issues. These youth, we also refer to them as the hidden population because they blend in so well with their peers.
Isaiah says he feels like he's finally back on his feet and plans to join the Air Force this coming fall. And Juan has dreams of becoming a successful realtor. On his arm is a reminder that better days are ahead.
My homeboy gave it to me one of my first days I was homeless. No matter what comes your way, you can conquer it. Just stay fearless no matter what.
Up next, we'll take you to Northeast Texas to see how folks honor their hometown hero. Stay with us.
Here's the deal, Texas. High pressure in place means we are going to continue turning up the heat for the rest of our weekend and well into the next 7 days. That means dangerous heat indexes, so temperatures are going to feel even warmer than the readings. Your highs for Sunday in the triple digits for most of the state. Maybe some 90s at the coast in Corpus, 90s for Brownsville, but those are still going to feel like triple digits. More coming up on your forecast after the break.
I am most satisfied when I'm making a difference. I get to go to work every day and communicate with fellow Texans who understand that quality of life matters and the choices we make matter. And if they can trust me to share important information with them, then I'm a happy camper. I'm Dr. Nicole Cross, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
When you buy Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month, you get a second line for free. So get one line for yourself and a free line for your devoted friend. Friend. Or you can get one line for yourself and one line for your kid.
Sold.
Or both lines for yourself. I use one for business and another for business. I do a lot of business. Get one line of unlimited for $29.99 and get a second line free for 12 months. Call, click, or visit a Spectrum store today.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
An answer to one of society's biggest questions may be found in the youngest minds. Does poverty impact a child's development, their performance in school? The hypothesis that mothers who have access to cash raise babies with stronger brain development.
The basis of the baby's first year study is really to understand whether providing economic support would change children's trajectories.
Exploring your health, budgeting for brain development, available on all your favorite devices.
What started off as a way to help churches get organized has grown into an online platform to help connect the community. And its creators aren't your typical startup entrepreneurs. Here's Blessing Iwachuku with more.
He's in his 70s, and over here in this office, he's in his mid-60s, almost 65. And together, they're tackling the world of social media by cutting through the noise and making their own platform. Michael Ebo is getting some things in order.
Trying to pay some bills.
That's all before the launch of his company's new take on connecting people online.
The app, it's called Grande. And now Jen is the parent company that developed the app. You can liken it to Facebook, but there is a huge difference between Grande and Facebook.
Well, for one thing is the age of the creators.
I am 72. 65 going 66.
I'm 55.
The creators of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter were as young as 19 and as old as 30 when their social platforms launched, which is around the age of the company's 30 and 21-year-old interns.
I don't think they even put a thought into the fact that they're old people looking at social media.
According to a new AARP survey, the most popular social media platforms for people 50 and older are Facebook and YouTube. There are also increased uses for Instagram and TikTok for those age groups from 2021 to 2022. So why make your platform?
We came in with the intent of creating healthy communities and trying to solve or at least reduce some of the problems that technology has created.
On May 2nd, the U.S. Surgeon General declared loneliness as the latest public health epidemic in the U.S., citing it poses health risks as deadly as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. He also said social media is driving the increase in loneliness in particular. One study cited in the report found people who use social media for 2 hours or more daily were more than twice as likely to report feeling socially isolated than those who were on for less than 30 minutes a day. That's why Earl says they call themselves a social networking platform rather than social media.
Our intent is to get people back into the real world. So sure, come in, take care of whatever it is that you're trying to find out, but then we're going to encourage you to get back engaged in the community, in the world, and not just live your life on the phone.
Well, this next story is about a Texas legend gone but never forgotten. Audie Murphy was the most decorated American combat soldier of World War II. And for those in Warren Northeast Texas City, he'll always be the hometown hero. A small symbol of patriotism blows in the breeze on this hot summer day in Farmersville, Texas. At the heart of town is a memorial to a hometown hero.
It was on this spot nearly 80 years ago. Audie Murphy received a huge welcome home from World War II. Frances Hickman was there that day in 1945.
My goodness, I never saw as many people out in the square of Farmersville. Everybody was interested in the war. They had a real love of country.
That love of country wrapped up in a tiny figure of a man. Audie Murphy was barely 5'5". His actions on the battlefield proved bigger than life. He was the most decorated American combat soldier of World War II.
And he was awarded 33 accommodations for his valor.
Misty Wiebold runs the Farmersville Heritage Museum, more than half of it dedicated to Audie Murphy.
His willingness to lead from the front, I think, captured the heart of Americans, and for Farmersville, we were proud to call him our hometown hero.
The museum tells his story from Audie's humble beginnings in Northeast Texas to war hero, and later to his time as a Western movie star. The highlight of the museum is this old wheel and its connection to their hometown hero.
Audie was on top of an M10 tank, and it was burning.
Murph, get out of there! Murph!
He single-handedly held off the Germans for over an hour.
The wheel is from the actual tank Audie stood on during that fight in January 1945.
You can see the damage on this particular wheel where the shells would come in and hit, but they were also so hot that it melted the steel.
Audie received the Medal of Honor for his actions that day, but when he came back to Farmersville, he didn't brag, he didn't boast. He simply remembered his fellow soldiers who didn't come home.
It's the character and the nature of Audie, I think, that's so incredible.
And coming up, lawmakers still at odds over property taxes in our state. We'll look at what it means for Texas residents after the break. Keep it here.
The decisions elected officials make really have an impact on all of us. A big part of what we do on Capitol Tonight is break down the issues so that they're easily understood. We want to bring you a better understanding of local issues and the local impact of national issues with relevant, in-depth conversations that provide context for Texans in a balanced and informative way. Capitol Tonight, weeknights at 7 on Spectrum News 1.
With Spectrum Mobile, your mobile speeds are already amazingly fast, but now they've developed Speed Boost. And it's only possible because Spectrum Internet, Advanced Wi-Fi, and mobile all work together. It's like speed on top of speed on top of speed, or like taking a shot of espresso, like this one. Woo! And chugging an energy drink. Yeah! And then being shot out of a cannon. Let's light this candle. Change my mind. Change my mind, change my mind. Get fast speeds on your mobile devices with Speed Boost, only from Spectrum Mobile.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. Really tall. I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
A thriving community is an informed community, and being able to play a role in bringing people the news is something that I take very seriously. There's just so many things to love about the state of Texas. Southern hospitality, great food. I love that there are so many different cultures celebrated. I want people to turn us on in the morning and feel like they've got the information they need to go out and conquer their day. I'm Alex Stockwell, anchor for Spectrum News 1.
Weather on the Ones, every 10 minutes. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Good evening, Dallas-Fort Worth. Here is your Spectrum News in 90. Corsicana ISD is mourning the deaths of 2 students who died in a car wreck. The crash happened Thursday night on FM 709. 2 teens died along with a 35-year-old man. Counselors will be made available on Monday. 3 San Antonio police officers are facing murder charges. The case involves a woman shot to death early Friday morning who had been dismantling a fire alarm. The police chief says the woman was having a mental crisis. Meanwhile, there will be 3 investigations, including one by the DA's office. Texas real estate developer Nate Paul has pleaded not guilty to federal criminal charges that he made false statements to banks. Paul is also involved in the impeachment charges against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Now here's a hyperlocal look at your forecast and weather on the Ones.
Hopefully you are finding some ways to stay cool this weekend across the Metroplex. Sunday, it's going to be another hot day. Take a look at your hour-by-hour forecast. Low 90s by noon on your Sunday and really flirting with the triple digits by the time 4 p.m. rolls around. It's certainly going to feel like triple digits, feeling like 112 late afternoon. Stick around for the full forecast.
Welcome back. State senators are pushing a new property tax relief plan that would preserve the homestead exemption and lower school district tax rates. But not all lawmakers are on board with that. JJ Maldonado explains.
I love owning a home. I was renting in Austin for years, but I had to move every year during the rent increases.
From living in Austin to now in Hays County, Marissa Brown bought her home in 2021 during the peak real estate boom in Central Texas.
Being able to have a more fixed mortgage and kind of do whatever you want with your home is pretty exciting.
Marissa says she factored in her property taxes when buying her home, anticipating increases along the way.
Having to anticipate property tax increase every year can be pretty stressful, especially since, you know, we live in a state and specifically a county with one of the highest property tax rates.
Property taxes are paid by real estate owners and can vary by the county you live in. Texas has one of the highest property tax rates in the country. During the legislative and special session, state leaders have been divided on how to spend taxpayer money so homeowners can see some relief on their property taxes. The Senate wants tax relief in the form of increase in the homestead exemption, while the House and the governor are pushing for relief for homeowners and business owners by reappropriating public school funding, which now mainly comes from property taxes.
We're so close on what the strategy should be to use that $17.6 billion. Now it's just time to close the divide, get a law to my desk so I can sign it, and we can start cutting property taxes as quickly as possible.
Lynn Krebs, a research economist at the Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M University, says the rapid rise of home prices has made this a hot topic in Texas.
So whether you own a home or you rent a home or an apartment or something like that, there's property taxes involved, whether it's you personally or the landlord.
Homeowners may also protest their taxes if they feel they are too high. Tyler Hogan is a Dallas resident and a real estate agent who has recently been successful protesting his property taxes.
So I would say put the time and effort into researching what exactly property taxes are, how it works, what you're paying, and then understand the protest process and why it's very important to protest your property taxes and not just to, brush it under the rug and just move to the next year and eat the $50 or $100 increase, because you get to years like this and it's a lot more than that.
Marissa says she has no plans to move and hopes to see some savings in the near future.
Any additional money in the pocket is good. It's definitely not fun having to budget for that increase every year when I see, the property taxes come in. So I would definitely be excited to have a little relief there.
And meanwhile, Governor Abbott has vetoed a bill that would have expanded mail-in voting for people with disabilities. Now, the bill would have allowed people who are blind or paralyzed to vote electronically, then print and mail their ballots. But Abbott argues the bill would have allowed any voter to receive a ballot electronically. Advocates say they disagree. Earlier this year, state lawmakers raised the base pay for personal caregivers that help disabled or elderly Texans. Now, the minimum hourly pay will now be $10.60, which is up from $8.11. Well, still, many feel that pay increase will not be enough to fix the ongoing caregiver shortage. Advocates say without a bigger raise, the shortage will only get worse. Dylan Scott shows us.
For thousands and thousands of Texans, personal care attendants or caregivers are essential pieces to their daily lives. However, when they're only getting paid about minimum wage, to be able to rely on that kind of help is getting harder and harder by the day.
So Mary, I think what I'm gonna have for dinner, let me see what I have in the freezer.
For almost 20 years, Renee Lopez has been getting by with a little help from her friend and personal care attendant, Maria Medina.
It's so important. One, it keeps you alive. I mean, that's just the basic of it. It keeps you alive. And it keeps you living in the community, and you get to live in your own home.
In the case of this Austinite who was born with a bone and joint disorder and hundreds of thousands of other Texans, their freedom comes at a cost. Okay. And even with a 30% raise for workers who provide in-home care this legislative session, she says an hourly wage of $10.60 isn't nearly enough.
Even if they love doing it, even if they care so much about the person they're taking care of, they still have to pay bills.
Medina, who's had her own battles with breast cancer and diabetes, feels deeply connected to her clients, but can see why the state reports more than 5,000 caregiver vacancies in a position with great need.
It's really not a livable wage at all. It's pretty hard. I have to take on, another client in Austin. So I have to drive all the way to Austin and back over here and get her ready. So it's really hard.
We've got to do a better job of supporting them because they are doing a great job of trying to support us.
Representative Donna Howard of Austin has been at the forefront of this battle to raise hourly wages to at least $15 and says waiting 2 more years is just too long.
We have the money to do something now. This is one of the ways we could have invested more in the lives of thousands and thousands of Texans.
Lopez says she's thankful to have the help she needs, but worries about what the future will hold.
There's not a new crop of attendants coming into this kind of work, and that's really another part of the problem, is that we need a new workforce, but there isn't the pay to bring them on.
And still ahead, did you know Texas has the largest bird watching tournament in the entire country? We'll take a look at this year's event that's coming up. Plus, one man is turning his passion for pictures into puzzles. He'll be in the studio to talk about a special project that has Texas written all over it. Stay with us, all that and more ahead on Spectrum News 1. Keep it here.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful, and it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News 1, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm, Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News 1. and get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
From coast to coast, you've seen us around. We live and work in the communities we serve. Our commitment runs deep. We're invested here, creating good jobs and supporting small businesses, many of which we're proud to call customers. You count on us to keep you connected to what matters most. And we're committed to delivering you the best internet, TV, and mobile service. We're Spectrum, connecting the places we all call home.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
Spectrum News 1 is Texas strong. It's not just the Friday night lights, the skies you need to see to believe. It's the people, the communities, the character. That's what makes us Texans. From our experienced boots-on-the-ground teams to a new perspective on the news that matters to Dallas-Fort Worth, we bring you the inspiring stories that leave a lasting impact across our communities. It's what makes us proud to call Texas home.
Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us here on Spectrum News 1. This video here from the Fort Worth Zoo, and that baby elephant probably has the right idea. With all the heat that we're having, you're going to want to cool off, stay hydrated, and of course, just in general, practice that heat safety. We have a very hot 7-day forecast in the works, and even our Saturday was pretty warm. We started off with some clouds, but quickly saw blue skies and sunshine as early as about lunchtime, and I want to show you our lows from Saturday morning. The coolest that we got for the Metroplex was upper 70s, so we didn't really have much of a cool down. And of course, as we head into the extended forecast, heat will persist and it is going to be oppressive. Take a look at your Sunday forecast, rather. Triple digits, 100 degrees. That's my forecast for Dallas as well as Fort Worth. Grapevine, maybe about 102. But across the board, again, you are seeing triple digits and it's going to feel even hotter. Take a look at your feels like temperatures, 110 degrees. That is how hot it's going to feel in Dallas and Fort Worth on your Sunday afternoon. So once again, staying hydrated, that will be key. Take breaks in the shade and just really driving home that heat safety, especially because it's not getting any better, especially through about midweek of this next work week. We are going to be at about 105 degrees by Wednesday and Thursday, maybe getting some relief that first day of July, but still it is going to be very hot, and rain chances, they're going to be minimal. We do have a slight chance of maybe a stray shower, an isolated storm, but overall the trend over the next 7 days is dry and hot, very hot. That is the main idea of your forecast. Triple digits all the way from Sunday through your Friday, back into the 90s Saturday.
The start of summer means the Great Texas Birding Classic has wrapped their 27th season. It is the largest and longest birdwatching tournament in the country. Our Crystal Dominguez caught up with this year's winners.
The coastal bend is known for birding because of the wide variety of birds that fly through this area during migration. But in addition to this fun activity, it also provides an economic boost throughout the state of Texas. Spoonbills, egrets, and herons. If you know, you know.
I see my favorite birds out there. There's a whole bunch of roseate spoonbills.
Joan Holt has been bird watching for 50 years. It's like she's seen it all.
I've seen every one of them.
A well-known birder in Port Aransas, along with her husband, Scott.
I started seeing birds and going, I wonder what that is.
They've traveled the world, but still one of the birdiest places in the country is right here in the coastal bend.
Mama and a papa. and all their young ones.
It was here at a birding center in Port A, where for one whole day they competed in the Great Texas Birding Classic. It's called the Big Sit, one of the categories.
Any bird you can see from as far as you can see, you can count, as long as you can identify it.
And they've been in the competition since it started more than 25 years ago.
And for a big sit, you have to stay within a 50-foot diameter space and only count the birds you can see from that space.
Using a spotting scope and binoculars during the spring migration.
That's why we had such high numbers, because in the spring so many birds stop by here to rest on their way north.
They recorded 115 species, 10 shy of their record, but still enough to win their category for the Big Sit. Not to mention during a rainstorm, which in the end helped out.
The bird watchers call that a fallout, because the birds, almost literally, the birds just fall out of the sky.
The classic helps habitat conservation here in Texas.
Nature preserve sites are funded by hotel-motel tax within the city.
The final results showed a rise in youth participation, and 1,100 Texans making up a record 200 teams.
Earlier this month, Austin welcomed another professional team to the capital city. Adam Rosso tells us why there is some local Texas flavor to the inaugural squad.
She's got a name that's familiar to softball fans across Texas. And now Janae Jefferson is the face of a new pro softball team called the Texas Smoke.
I think just being in Austin really excites me. This is like my second home, and just knowing the legacy that I left at UT, it just really inspires me to know who I am and know why I'm here.
Jefferson makes the catch! Jefferson is one of the best players to ever wear the burnt orange. She ended her career as the all-time leader in both hits and batting average.
I just haven't lost that hunger yet. Still wanting to be out there diving for balls, getting dirty, things like that.
She'll get the chance to satisfy that hunger with the Smoke.
How can you not have Janae come here and be the face of this organization? She's a great player, great human being, and I love her. I love her presence. I love her passion of the game.
Jefferson was actually the first player signed by co-owner and former Major League Baseball player Brandon Phillips.
They see these girls come up with their Janae things, and they're so excited to meet her. That's what we want, and that was exactly a big reason why she was signed here.
To be an inspiration for young, aspiring softball stars.
Going out there playing hard, making cool plays, so girls see me in the stands and they're like, wow, like that was amazing, like I could do that too. And even off the field, like signing autographs, taking pictures, things like that, just being a good person to look up to.
And a great ambassador to help grow the game of softball.
If we're going to be in Texas, we have to make sure that we're representing Texas well. I think that's anywhere you are, and I think what she did and what she meant to so many, it's everything. It's the foundation of growing our sport.
With the help and marketing and sponsors, things like that, like our game could really take off at the professional level.
And up next, how one man turns his passion for pictures into these puzzles. We're taking a trip to the Hill Country to see how he's also making lots of memories along the way.
Here's the deal, Texas. High pressure in place means we are going to continue turning up the heat for the rest of our weekend and well into the next 7 days. That means dangerous heat indexes, so temperatures are going to feel even warmer than the readings. Your highs for Sunday in the triple digits for most of the state. Maybe some 90s at the coast in Corpus, 90s for Brownsville, but those are still going to feel like triple digits. More coming up on your forecast after the break.
The strength of Texas is in its many voices and unique perspectives. Every Sunday, join host Carla Leal on In Focus Texas. Education, economy, immigration, and more. Balanced and respectful discussion of the serious matters impacting Texas from experts across the state.
We take a closer look at the issues in your community.
In Focus, Texas, Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Spectrum News 1, available on all your favorite devices.
Millions of small business owners, like Leanna Lynn, choose Spectrum Business.
Spectrum Business services are essential to our business.
Choose Spectrum Business for your business. Get fast, reliable internet starting at $49.99 a month. And the Spectrum Business Connect phone system with video conferencing for $19.99 a month to get a free mobile line for 1 year. No nonsense. Just business.
I cannot live without it.
Visit spectrum.com/business or call 866-524-1116 today.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. These programs cover doctor's appointments, hospital visits, prescriptions, shots, and more. As parents, we get peace of mind knowing that our children are covered if they are sick or get injured. You may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if you've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We are connected, engaged, from the moment we rise. We move. We adjust. We learn, explore, relax, and grow together so we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
Even though we're living in the digital age, a lot of people just want to get back to basics. That includes one Texas man whose talents include everything from pictures to puzzles. Wherever there's a picturesque view in Texas, you'll find J.B. Manning. He's been traveling the terrain, snapping photos for years.
I started off in the corporate world, and actually I just kind of got tired of it. I took a year off and took a big road trip through the Southwest up into Yellowstone and started taking pictures along the way. And
many miles and a few photos later, JB decided to turn his pictures into puzzles. He started the Wimberley Puzzle Company, a business born and bred in Texas. JB takes his own pictures, transfers them to birchwood. A laser then cuts the pictures into puzzles.
I build actually a wooden box for every puzzle, and then they're shipped straight out to you guys.
With a few steps in between. On this day, JB is filling a special order for a special birthday Texas style.
Texas Highways is working with the Texas State Parks in conjunction with their 100-year anniversary, so these are commemorative puzzles.
Each one depicts a different state park, like this one. The picture goes into the laser cutter. It comes out as puzzle pieces. Each one inspected by hand before you get to put it together. JB says it's all about making memories, since most of his puzzles are from his own pictures of well-known Texas places.
When you're with your family over the holidays, you're putting a puzzle together of somewhere you guys have all been together, and you recount the stories from that trip, and it really just turns into a memory lane. You know, I had a lady come in that had bought a puzzle of Pedernales Falls, and she told me that that's where her husband had proposed to her. He had since passed, but it was just really a great memory for her and a way to relive that happiness.
Making memories is what this business is all about. Many of JB's puzzles tell a story of a special place and time in Texas, and each one signed by JB, sealed, and soon delivered. And here with us today is JB Manning, the person behind the puzzles. You know, you talked about being asked to make puzzles for the 100th anniversary of Texas State Parks. Tell us a little bit more about that, how that came about.
So they reached out to me just as an initiative to commemorate the 100-year anniversary. They had an illustrator in Houston design this art for their various parks, and they decided they wanted to make puzzles and to see what we could do together.
Great. And have you talked to them about after you started making these? Have they seen them?
They've seen them now.
They approved?
They approved. They helped me design them with a lot of the special pieces. So they're, you know, the story pieces that are specific character pieces to the individual places. So we've got like Mexican free-tailed bats in there and just various flora and fauna that are relevant to the parks themselves.
That's what cool. So you'll take you'll have a little puzzle piece that's unique, like has like a bird or a bat or something. You'll insert in there, so you have to really look for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a piece right there within the puzzle that tells a story.
And I was going to ask you too, how did you know which state parks to choose, and how do you turn these into these guys, in these puzzle pieces?
So they chose these parks for me. These are the ones that they wanted to start with.
Gotcha.
And I think they've got illustrations from more parks, and we might go there. So we just kind of worked together to really decide on what story we wanted to tell within the puzzle itself. And then I got to drawing the pieces and going from there and cutting them.
Yeah, so that's really cool. You have, like we saw in the piece, you have a laser cutter. So you have the picture, you put that into that laser cutter, and that makes these guys.
Yep. Everything's printed right in-house. It's UV printed directly on wood, so it's extremely durable. And then it's laser cut, and the boxes are all made in-house. Everything is made in-house right in Wimberley. That
is fantastic. You make these boxes to go with them. And so the puzzles are inside a little bag, wrapped up, nice and sealed.
And these boxes, they're modeled actually after a book. So they've got the spine here, and they've got a story on the back. And everything's just designed to really tell a story.
That's great. And 89 Texas State Parks, but I'm dropping your puzzle pieces here. 89 Texas State Parks, but you haven't had to do all those yet.
Not yet.
But it's a good reminder to go out and visit the state parks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is your favorite one?
My favorite one is probably Big Bend, actually. Yeah. I love going out to Big Bend Ranch State Park and out into that West Texas area. It's kind of a love it or hate it, but I really love it. So.
Yeah. Real quick, how can people find these guys?
These actually are available directly through Texas Highways Mercantile website.
Okay.
And that can be found right there on the Texas Highways website.
All right, very cool. JB, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Todd Boatwright. Stay safe. We will see you again soon.
We have one mission, and that is to serve our community.
And that's what we're doing here in Dallas-Fort Worth, is we're covering people's stories. We're telling a person's story in a way that's relatable to who they are.
It's my responsibility to know the issues here in Texas, but also, more importantly, to know who it affects.
We want to make sure that you know what's going on in politics and weather and entertainment. You're going to get storytelling about the Dallas-Fort Worth community. Your evening on Spectrum News 1. Weeknights starting at 5 p.m. Central.
They say the best things in life are free.
That's why Spectrum Mobile is giving you one free mobile line when you buy one unlimited line for $29.99.
Hey, so I can get two lines for the price of one? That's right, for just $29.99.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months with no contracts. Call 1-844-537-2999. Visit spectrum.com/getconnected or Spectrum Store today.
It's the best deal in mobile.
Free mobile sounds good, but is the service reliable?
Absolutely. Spectrum Mobile is super reliable, coast to coast.
Okay, but what's the catch?
Is it contracts?
No contracts, no catch.
Get one line for $29.99 and the second line is free.
All with no taxes or hidden fees.
Whew. Man, I'm switching to Spectrum. You see it?
Switch to Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for $29.99 a month and get a second unlimited line free for 12 months. Call 1-844-537-2999.
Get the best deal in mobile. Switch to Spectrum.
You are loved. You are valued. You are resilient.